Oh, holiday drop-in season is upon us, and you know exactly what I'm talking about, right? When extended family calls you the night before and says, hey, we're gonna be there for brunch the next morning. I love opening our doors to spread holiday cheer, but it does stress me out just a little bit, and here's why. I usually have time just to do one of two things. I can cook or I can clean, and I usually clean because I have two little kids and there are toys everywhere. So I promised myself this year that I would dedicate one whole shelf of my freezer to holiday drop-in food, stuff that I can easily freeze and then defrost and pop it in the oven when guests come here the next day. We're gonna start with my sour cream pound cake. This thing is oh so beautiful. I cut out a little slice over here and I kept the flavors very simple in this pound cake because for brunch, we're just gonna spread some jam over it, but if you're gonna serve it for dessert, you can put some whipped cream, some fresh berries, really top it with whatever you want. Make a whole sundae out of it. Next, we're gonna go to something savory. These are my crescent roll egg puffs, and take a look. They are just so yummy, and they're just bite-sized, ready to go when people come. So I started with a roll of those crescent rolls from the grocery store, and I just evenly cut up these little rectangle shapes and put it in my greased muffin pan here. I put some bell peppers and cheese in some of them, then some ham and green onions in the other. You guys, this is all about using whatever you have in the fridge at that time when you want to make them. So super easy. And then in here, I have just whipped up eggs and heavy cream. How easy is that? Things that you probably always have in the house, right? And then what's simple about this is we're just gonna pour it right into these cups. Super easy. And then they're gonna puff up really nicely after I take them out of the oven. Best part is I let them cool and I freeze them in a Ziploc bag and they are ready to go after a little toasting in the oven. Lastly, who doesn't have a real big sweet tooth around holiday season, especially for chocolate? I don't know anyone that doesn't like chocolate. So I have a dynamite recipe for a flourless chocolate cake. But for this, I just wanted little decadent bites to serve people and maybe put some in a little box for them to take on the airplane. So I converted that flourless chocolate cake recipe into these awesome little bites of chocolate. The reason that they're so tiny is because they're so rich and dense. The only thing that's really in these guys is eggs and chocolate, and you can never go wrong. My rule, kind of for the whole year, is to have at least 2 dozen eggs at any time in my refrigerator. So I usually use 1 dozen for baking, treats, things like that. The other dozen is there for dinners and for breakfast for the kids and snacks here and there. Maybe around holiday season, add an extra dozen so you have about 3 dozen in the fridge because you never know when people are gonna pop in and want something yummy to eat. And if everything else fails and you haven't done any of this, that's okay, because I have one last thing to show you. Take a look at this, a simple charcuterie board that I put together with some eggs on the charcuterie board. Now I sprinkled some everything but the bagel seasoning on here and then also topped it with a little drizzle of sriracha. A protein kick for your guests as you send them on their way home. For this recipe, visit ColoradoEggProducers.com and don't forget to visit Scrambling with Colleen.